Shalom, Israel. Shalom, shalom. Much love, much respect. All the elders in Israel, but even before them. Much love and much respect to the Father. Much love and much respect to our earthly mother, the Ruach. Okay? Much love and much respect to our beloved brother, Yeshaya. You know, I'll tell you today, y'all, I was sitting there wrestling. Father, what do you want me to say versus what I want to say? You know, oftentimes we get caught up with what we want to say to people and what Yeshaya wants to say to people. And Elder Bear, let's just dive right into it, you know. Big ups to Elder Quadash, Elder Ayu, right? Big ups to him. Men out here putting in the work, fighting in the forefront, you know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing. Give me Galatians chapter 1, verse 10. Galatians chapter 1 and verse 10. Let's set the stage of what we're going to talk about.
Galatians 1 and 10.
Say it loud.
For do I now persuade men or God,
Mm-hmm.
or do I seek to please men?
Do I seek to please men? I think oftentimes in our life right now, I see some of our brothers are seeking to please men, right? We're seeking to persuade men rather than persuade God, right? God can be persuaded by you if you are a man, right? But oftentimes we seek to be persuading men, you know what I'm saying? And I think the construct of how that comes into fold is that we see how certain assemblies don't function how they need to function, right? And we complain about why it's not happening the way it should happen, right? And we may say the women are doing this, women are doing that. Go to Revelation 2 and 20, you know, and they'll complain about different things, you know. But I think the foundation of everything comes back to who? The men, you know. The reason why Elder has always talked about sin, he always had to keep the main thing the main thing. He don't always want to talk about that, you know. There's bigger things he wants to talk about, right? But he always had to talk about sin, you know. Sin's always the issue within Israel, you know. We're going to go into a book that displays this, okay? Go ahead, Revelations 2 and 20.
Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee.
Notwithstanding, the Most High has a few things against us as Israel. This is the things he has against us. These 7 letters were written to 7 churches that were 7 assemblies, which are all a part of who? Israel. So he has a few things with Israel. This is one right now.
Because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel,
Because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel.
which calleth herself a prophetess.
She calls herself a prophet. So anytime you see a woman calling herself a prophet, you got to watch that, right? Because that's what Jezebel did, right? Now there are women who are prophetesses, right? Whenever you see this happen, right? When someone has the right to speak, you got to check yourself, right? As a man. But the problem is, us as men, we don't want to check anything, you know? We're very noodle-backed, right? As of recently. As soon as we come into the truth, all of a sudden we become soft, man. We become heavy laden with burdens. We become very disparaged with our situations, right? So we don't want to comment on certain things, okay? Now, if you're a husband married to another woman, obviously, right? And if you see your wife going off, what do? You restore her back to righteousness and in love, right? Something happens when a man doesn't do this thing, Brother D, right? Give me 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 21. No, actually, chapter 22, verse 20 through 22. This is what the scripture says.
And the Lord said, who shall persuade Ahab?
Who shall persuade Ahab? So the reason that Jezebel became Jezebel was not because of Jezebel, it's because of Ahab, right? So we have many men in Israel that have become Ahabs, right? You become weak, right? And sometimes us as men, we wonder why some of us are single, right? Well, sometimes we're single because God knows you couldn't handle a woman. She would run you into the ground, right? Some men are married, and guess what? You're allowing your wife to run other assemblies into the ground, right? This is what's going on right now. Start from the beginning, Elder Barry.
And the Lord said,
Nico didn't say, Elder Ayu didn't say, Elder Kodash didn't say, Elder Kennard didn't say, Elder so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so didn't say. But who said it?
the Lord.
And the Lord said, keep going.
Who shall persuade Ahab?
Who shall persuade Ahab? Now listen to this conversation, y'all. You have a group of spirits that are up in the heavens talking with the Most High. Listen to this.
That he may go up
Uh-huh.
and fall at Ramoth Gilead.
So the Most High is plotting a death, right? Go to Isaiah 45, verse 7. And we're going to go back there. I just want to show you context to it. When you're hearing this, don't think there's not enough precept for it. There's context of what's happening right now. This is the Most High's work. You know, Paul said to some, it'd be better that you be single. It'd be better that you be single, right? For I shall save you from what? Much trouble. To be married is to be what? In trouble, right? The last day ministry of Christ is what? Marriage, right? The book of remembrance of Enoch is marriage. Well, what's Christ coming, Brother D, Elder Barry? What's Christ coming back to do? He's going to wipe the world off, right? Right? Kill a certain portion of people, right? We got that. Put certain people in captivity, put another people not in captivity, raise some people up, raise some people down. But what's he really doing? He's going to the what? Marriage supper of what? So marriage is his sole goal, you know? So marriage is coming. So if you're attempting to be married, right, in this hour, you better be sure, right? Because your marriage needs to emulate, right, what Christ is about to do, right? Keep going. Go ahead and read.
Isaiah 45 and 7.
Uh-huh.
I form the light.
Christ forms the light. Uh-huh.
And create darkness.
And he creates darkness.
I make peace.
He makes peace.
And create evil.
And he creates evil. So you're about to hear evil being created right now. Keep reading. Read the last part.
I, the Lord, do all these things.
I, the Lord, do all these things. Right? He creates peace. He creates evil. He creates light. He creates darkness. Now, and I know you guys already know this, but there's a blood moon happening tonight. Okay? What's the reason for that? What's the reason for the Most High showing a blood moon? He said, look up for the stars, the sun, and the moon, or for signs and for seasons. Now, why would he put a blood moon in the sky right over Florida? What's he about to do? Right? Now, some people may look at that and think the blood moon is bad. For us, the blood moon is good. He says, look up for your what? Redemption draweth nigh. Right? So it's our redemption that we see in the sky. But the blood shows what? He's going to kill somebody. Death's on this way. Don't be confused as men of God. Right? Don't be confused. The scripture says in another place, there shall be 7 women to take hold of one man. Right? Why would 7 women have to take hold of one man? How many men is he going to kill? Right? Israelites. The only men he's talking to is to Israelites in that perspective. He's not talking about all men on the earth. He's talking to Israelites. There shall be 7 Israelite women, or 7 women that have cleaved to Israel, that what? Will cleave unto one man. That one man won't have sex with them. No, by no means. He'll have his own wife, but what's he going to do? He's going to be a covering to all those women. Why does he have to be a covering? Because while you let forth the spirit of Jezebel, you know, you let forth the spirit that should have never been there, you know. As men, guess what we have to do? We can't keep pointing the finger at the women, right? We see things that are off, right? We see things that aren't right, right? But as a man, if you want your wife to respect you, guess what? Be respectable, you know. Scripture says where there's no vision, the people perish, right? The women, right, what do? If they don't see you showing any vision, what do? They help themselves with other things. Because why? The women are helpers, right? That's their job, you know? And men who are single, it's okay to be single right now. Don't worry. don't worry. There's going to be a lot of work for you. You know, there's going to be a lot of work for you. Single women, don't worry. You know, the dove talking, right? Don't worry about these things. You know what I'm saying? But one thing I don't want us to get caught up in not being able to talk about spiritual things because we're so cardinal, right? We see our wives there sometimes that are off. But you know, why is the wife off? It's because you're off. You try to rule someone else's house and not ruling your own house. You know what I'm saying? You go talk about somebody else. You go watch a YouTube channel and you talk about somebody there on a YouTube channel, but you're not even displaying righteousness in your own house. There's your problem, right? That's your main problem. Go ahead, keep reading, Elder Barry.
Drop down, ye heavens.
Drop down, you heavens.
From above.
Uh-huh.
And let the skies pour down righteousness.
Come on.
Let the earth open. And let them bring forth salvation.
Come on. Let the earth open and bring forth salvation. That's what's about to happen. Go back to 1 Kings chapter 22. Verse 20. Read it all the way through.
And the Lord said.
He said what?
Who shall persuade Ahab?
Who shall persuade Ahab?
That he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead.
Come on.
And one said on this manner.
One spirit said, keep going.
And another said on that manner.
Another spirit said on that manner. They're conversating back and forth. Keep going.
And there came forth a spirit.
What did he say?
And stood before the Lord and said.
What did he say?
I will persuade him.
I'm going to bullshit him. Keep going.
And the Lord said unto him, wherewith?
How you gonna play him? How you gonna play him? Keep going.
And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit.
I'll be what? I create light, I create darkness, I create good, I create evil, right? So one spirit comes before Christ and says, I'll be a lying spirit. Keep going.
In the mouth of all his prophets.
A mouth of all his prophets. Guess what? Sometimes some of us hear lying spirits. Some of us men hear lying spirits, right? That's the problem right now in Israel, you know? We hear lying things concerning us. We have lying dreams. We have lying words come to our mind, and we think it's God, you know? How you know it's God? You live at your house, right? You're not in an assembly to get yourself checked, right? See, when you live alone, it's very easy to think that you're right with God. You know that? It's very easy. You don't live with nobody else, right? Nor that yet they be godly people. You live with the children of God, right? So if you live with the children of God, you couldn't bring that bullshit prophecy that you had, right? You couldn't bring that. Because why? You'd have to check yourself, right? But most of the time, us as men, we don't check ourselves, so our families are off. Our wives are off. You wonder why Jezebel is let loose amongst Israel, right? Why is she let loose? Because men are being men. You should be what? What did Elder Quadash say today in this lesson? He says, how can you really be in ministry? You say you're ministering things, right? Making a video right now, this is easy. 2 cameras up, I'm talking. This is easy, right? I dare you to go live with another family. Maybe 2. Maybe 3. Maybe 4. Maybe 1 will be here this weekend. Right? I dare you to do that. Then now you're in ministry. Because now you have to deal with someone on a day-by-day basis. And so when you get up as a man and you have a dream, you get to check your dream with another man. But you don't do that. What you do is you go tell your wife. Right? Or you don't tell your wife. One of the two. So let's say you did tell your wife. Let's play that game, right? You tell your wife, but you haven't been feeding her the word of God. So she's a spiritual infant, right? She's spiritually decrepit, right? Because of you, not because of her, right? The Most High gonna have grace for her at the mercy seat, right? Because of you, right? And then, let's say you did go on the other side of the aisle, and you were bringing your revelations or your beliefs to other men, right? God told me, I got a word from the Lord. You got a word from the Lord when you lived at your house. Let's see if you get that same word when you live with other people. You know, I want to encourage you, every man with that. Be bold enough to get your family in order to live with other people. Don't say you're a man of God and you can't get your family in order to live with other people. You're not no man of God. You just a man walking around. But you know what you are? You're the walking dead. You're the walking dead. But you come amongst Israel. Paul said this. He said, many have crept in, but unaware. Because sometimes people come in, they look like us. They have ponytails, they have earrings, they have necklaces. You know, they have rings on. And shalom, shalom, you know. Shalom, shalom, elder, right? And you think they're you. But guess what you find out? They're not really you. Because you look at their family life, and you realize they're not a part of you. Right? You wonder why your wife off. It's because you wonder why Jezebel's let loose in the camp. How do you know Jezebel's let loose? Let me dig on this. He said in Revelation, he said, you suffered that woman Jezebel. Go back to Revelation 2 and 20. Can't nobody say this about me and my camp. Not a camp of Israelites. That's not what I'm talking about. My camp of people who live here. That's what I'm talking about. Right? Can't nobody say that. Because I never suffered Jezebel. Jezebel got bad. Jezebel got her ass kicked up out of here. Right? Got her ass got gone. Right? And you know what's funny about this, Elder Barrett? It offended some people. How dare you kick Jezebel out? How dare you kick the devil out? Right? How dare you not Satan let's stay with us? Because you know why you want Satan to stay with you? Because you used to Satan. You sleep with Satan. You as a man, you sleep with Satan. You mad that the woman's in her predicament. She's in her predicament because you ain't being a man. You know, so before doing this video, I was going to get on, you know, I was going to get on the women. The most I was like, why you don't get on them? The man, the man's not the head of the house. The woman is, right? The man's the foundation. If that foundation falls, what happens, right? You rebuild the house, right? But if a man falls and the foundation's condemned, the whole house is condemned. So some parts of Israel is condemned. Why is it condemned? Because the men aren't being men. Because you know what? It's hard to tell somebody, no. It's hard to tell somebody, you're wrong. It's hard to tell somebody in your state of mind. But you know what? Excuse me. It's easier for you to tell somebody in another house where they're wrong at and try to correct them. But you won't correct your own house. Correct your own house. Examine yourself. See if you still be in the faith and you be right with God. Because a lot of men ain't right with God. This is why they're going to be 7 women to 1 man. Because a lot of you men ain't right with God. You come on the chats, you leave comments, likes, all you who leave dislikes. Leave a comment. Put your name to it. Don't nobody care. I'm going to still give you a heart. I'm going to still say I love it. You know what I'm saying? Even though there ain't nothing for you to dislike. But if you dislike it, that's great. Give a reason for it. I see these assholes, Elder, you'll give a powerful message. You got 2 or 3 assholes in every video. They give a dislike. What you dislike it for? Oh, I know why you dislike it. I know why you dislike it. You're one of those guys that sits at home and watches YouTube videos. But guess what? You're mad because God's not using you. You know why God's not using you? Because you're no worth to be used. That's why. I'll say it to you. There's no worth in you to be used. To have worth, you need to be worthy. To be worthy, you have to ascribe worship to someone, right? Which is Christ. He's worthy to be praised. For his praise to come forth is to come to someone who's worthy. Because you're not worthy, God doesn't use you. And now you mad about that, right? Guess what? Your wife mad about it too, though. You know? Your marriage is mad about that, right? Don't get mad because your life is in shambles. Don't get mad because everything you plan doesn't work. It's not going to work. Negro, it's not going to work for you. God ain't with you. You know why God's not with you? Many have been called. You didn't pick up the phone when the phone call came. He sends out a spiritual phone call to everyone at certain times, right? If you don't pick up that phone call, guess what? You asked out. You asked out. I was listening today, Edward Quadas was talking in his message. And I called Elder Kodash out. I said, you know what, Elder Kodash, you cut me up, man. That hurt me a little bit. I listen to Elder every time. Every time I'm listening, I'm like, oh my goodness, what are you going to say? Eyes closed. What are you going to say? What are you going to say? Because why? If a prophet talking, right, they might call your ass out, right? But that's man stuff. That's man business. Only a man listens to another man when he knows the other man could chastise him, right? Because you're not willing to be chastised by other men, there ain't no way you're going to rule your house. The way that you rule your house is that you be ruled by other strong men, right? But you're not a strong man, right? So don't wonder why your wife is off. Don't wonder why your ministry is off. Don't wonder why your marriage is divided. Don't wonder why your wife ain't got no damn friends and everything all effed up in their lives, right? It's because of you. If you want to know the condition of every man, look at their wife. That's a mystery, right? Let me just help you. You know how we know Christ is right? Look at Israel. Christ isn't going to come back till Israel's right. Guess what? Some of y'all niggas shouldn't show up to nowhere until you right. You know? That's what needs to happen. Christ is only coming back when Israel's right, but Negroes show up when they ain't right. I mean, where we do that at? Where we do that at? But this is Israel. We so smart. We so smart, man. You know? Shabbat shalom, elder. What you saying that for? You know? Check yourself, man. Examine yourself. See if you still be in the faith. Not if you be in the baptism of faith when someone else gave you the baptism. That's not faith. That's not faith, you know. If I call you and tell you a baptism coming, don't mean you in the faith, nigga. You just show up somewhere. You know what I'm saying? You ain't in the faith. Nigga, bro, you just show up and get in water. What you had to do? Like, I couldn't drive there myself? I'm doing you a favor, right? I'm not doing myself a favor, right? Let's keep it a buck. Lord, I want a wife. He's most I was like, what you pissed on your last 3 or 4 or 5? Why would I give you a wife, bro? You suck at being a husband. Most I want kids. He's like, I'm not giving you kids, B. You suck. You suck at this thing called life. Wait till the judgment seat if you don't believe me. I don't like the. I'm gonna put it this time in the video. Nigga, put a comment. Give me your address. Yeah. Give me your phone number. Let's talk about it. Don't be so proud within ourselves as men. I'm talking to the men. Don't be so proud till every time a woman's off, you get mad at the woman. Right? If my wife off, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna look at myself. I want my wife off. Right? I'm a man. I'm her head. Right? She's my body. So hold on. So I'm the head, she's the body. So the body's off, right? And now I'm the head and the head is right. They call that something in the world. But don't they call that schizophrenia? That's a multiple personalities or paranoia in some ways.
So many things in the body respond to what the head, like say, I just picked my hand up. That only could happen because of electrical signals that my head sent to my hand.
And he just said it. So everything your wife does, it comes from you. Don't say my wife's off, and don't wonder why your wife just destroyed one assembly. If you've been from GOCC to NAACP to ABC, and then to this assembly to that assembly, if you've been to all these assemblies, right, that's on you. If you're saying it because of this, you know, my wife said that we should do this, my wife should do that. Well, you're not leading. You're not a man. So now you know why your wife gonna go to hell because of you. So where you think, excuse me, where you going? You know, you're not going to kingdom. How can you go to the kingdom when a part of your body was off? That don't even make sense. One of my brothers, Brother Bernard, he had an assembly. It was like 50 people, man. And in the assembly, what ended up happening was he had, there was a woman in there who was very loud, obnoxious, shot her mouth up too much. He didn't check it because he wanted to be a good man, right, as we are all taught to be. In his pursuit of being a good man, his assembly's gone, correct? He's gone desolate, right? No place to go, right? He has 2 or 3 people call him here and there, right? Now, Brother Bernard is a solid man, you know, but he's lost out on what God's called him to. The gifts and the calls of God are irrevocable, right? Unless you let someone take it from you. Unless you let someone take it from you. Sometimes we let some of our spouses take things from us. Women, submit yourselves to your husbands. Husbands, love your wives. Love your wife unto death. Die for her as Christ died for her. But Christ loves Israel so much, he'll check her. You know what I'm saying? Me and my wife have bad days. Guess what? Something going wrong, I'll check it. Because you know what? I love my wife because my wife is not my wife. She's my body. Right now, my wife's going to the store with one of the other young girls here. Going to the store. I'm sitting looking at the cameras and I'm talking, waiting for my wife to come back. Because a part of me is left. I can only deal with that for so long. So I'll make a phone call and say, baby, where you at? Matter of fact, we're going to get off this, not this live, but recording this video. I'm going to call her. Where you at, baby? You know? I got to check in. Because a part of me is left, right? I encourage every man to have that same disposition. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to let your wife respect you. You know, your wife respects you. Make her do certain things. Women follow those men who lead, right? If your wife does not follow you or does not listen to you, if you're, for example, if you're one way and your wife's another way, you're not a leader, right? You're not a leader. Because the wife should only do what you do. Women are helpers. Women are there to help. But if you don't have anything for them to help you with, they will help themselves to something else. I promise you that. And take that however you want to take that. Don't wonder why adultery happens with the women. Don't wonder why the divorce rate is 50% with Christians and Israelites. There's no different. But 80% of it happens with women. Why does it happen with women? Because women want to help. So when they don't have no man that needs help, they'll divorce them. Tell them, I'm done with you. You know? You have no reason for me to be around you. You know? Let us stop talking about women as that they're Jezebels or they're this. Let's not talk about men that they're Ahabs, right? There's a lot more Ahabs than Jezebels. Ahab created Jezebel. You know what I'm saying? That's what happened. Ahab created Jezebel. Jezebel was not created. Ahab gave birth to her. He gave her a license. You know? So we're creating a lot of Jezzies. A lot of old jazzy fays out here. You know what I'm saying? Because men ain't being men. Do your job as men. As men, we're strong, man. It's okay to be strong enough to be terse with a woman. A woman will respect that. You know? I say that to say this. I love you all. I love you all so much that even if you're offended by me, it's okay. That means I'm doing the right thing. You know? Isaiah 44:5.
One shall say, I am the Lord's.
I hope that one person, when they hear this, says, you know what? I am the Lord's. This is how I should govern my life. Keep going.
And another shall call himself by the name of Jacob.
I hope that another man calls himself by the name of Jacob. Okay?
And another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord.
I hope that you subscribe with your hand unto the Lord's children. Keep going.
And surname himself by the name of Israel.
Yes, right. You come from Israel. I just want to tell you all, I love you all. Be encouraged. We'll have links in the description. I pray, men, be men. It's okay. You know, it's okay to be a man. Don't let the Me Too movement scare you. You know, don't let the spiritual Hebrew Me Too movement scare you. Don't give so much praise to women that you forget who you are. You know, don't praise them so much that what put them in their right place. Right? Don't be afraid to do that. Okay? Men, you're strong. You know, women, you already know what I'm talking about. Women follow any man who's leading. With no vision, what? Women, the people perish. The women say, we're not going to perish. We're going to follow someone with vision. I got vision. I know y'all got vision. You know, give this to someone else who does need it. I love you all. Shalom.